Welcome. This is an introduction to presentations on Paul's second missionary journey. The journey is described in Acts 15 through 18, and this section begins with Paul's start in Antioch, found in Acts 15:35 through 36. I'm your host for this journey. My name is Susan Hares, and I'm your instructor in Greek Exegesis. Well, let's begin with where we are with Greek Exegesis. Labs, Greek Exegesis provides us with several things that we learn about Greek Exegesis. One is we start with an accurate text. Second, we look at the text itself. Do we understand the words? That is the lexical part of the study. Second, do we understand the grammar or the syntax? What is the relationship between the words that makes a sentence within a paragraph? Next, we look at intertextual comparisons. What is the historical settings? What is the context of these writings? This is what this slide set prepares you for. You are going to go through the historical and geographical settings of Paul's second missionary journey. Well, let's begin with Paul's journey. Now, as you see Paul's journey, it begins in Antioch and goes to Tarsus. And from Tarsus, he goes to Derbe, Lystra, Antioch, Pisidia, goes through Syria and Galatia, and goes over to see if he can go to Bithynia and Pontus. But Bithynia and Pontus are forbidden to him by the Holy Spirit. He goes down through Mysia to see if he can witness, but God calls him over to Troas, where he receives a vision to go to Macedonia. Notice he skips over Thrace, goes by a ship to Neapolis, stopping momentarily by Samothrace in the Aegean Sea. He then lands at Neapolis and goes to Philippi. And from Philippi, you have a great portion in Acts 16 where he stays for a while, first meeting Lydia and converting her household, and second, being jailed. After that, he goes down the road to Amphipolis, and then into Thessalonica. From Thessalonica, he escapes to Berea and then on down to Athens. And from Athens, he goes to Corinth, where he spends a great deal of time. He comes back, stays on his way home. He stops, of course, in the port city of Syria, and then goes to Ephesus, and then all the way to Caesarea, and then Jerusalem, and then Damascus and home. So we shall follow that story just briefly. Here is Paul's original stay in Antioch, and in Antioch he leaves by one of the two roads. One of the two roads goes to Cilician, and the other goes to Antioch, which is on the coast as it goes toward Tarsus. From there, here's a picture of that some people have created a drawing of it. You notice at the lower left-hand corner you see two roads coming out, one through a gate going toward the south and one going toward the west. It is the west gate. And then you see another gate to the north. That would be heading along the river and toward the Euphrates. Now, how did Paul went the road toward the west, and he went over the Syrian gates, and he went around by the roads to Tarsus, over Tarsus Pass through the Sicilian gates, which gates meant at that time a particular set of mountain passes to which they had particular blockage, because that was where manned soldiers were. That way they could protect certain things. He went from there to Derbe, to Lystra, to Antioch in Pisidia. He then went on to Galatia, and from Galatia up through Syria, and finally staying at Troas on the sea. He then, having seen a vision to go across to Macedonia, went by Samothrace, which is an unusual volcanic island, which sailors use to navigate the northern Aegean Sea. He went to Neapolis. This is looking south out of Neapolis, and this is Ignatia. We go on the Via Ignatia, which is a road to Philippi. He probably stayed someplace within Philippi, maybe in some of the places around the library, or some of the forum where he would have had met with people from his craft of the tent builders. This is an example of what the ruins of the ancient forum would have looked like. You could imagine one of the cities, one of the side streets would have been the tent makers, and he might stay there, or he might have stayed with Luke's craft in the physicians. Then when he got to Thessalonica, he stayed there for a while, and when he escaped, he crossed a large delta. He probably went south when he escaped from Berea across the Aegean Sea. This is a picture of the Aegean Sea that is around Mount Olympus, where Berea is on the other side of it. Now we go, he lands in Athens and speaks to the philosophers on the Areopagus in Athens, and eventually gets to Corinth. Now this is a reproduction of how Corinth might look at 100 AD. Notice again there is an agora, which he might have stayed and sold his wares, or it might have been some buildings off of it, because this agora is fairly square. Now, after that, he, at the end of the time period in Acts 18:12, he was tried by the proconsul at the Besma, which is the seat of judgment, and he eventually went on his way home to Ephesus. There he lands in Caesarea Maritime, which had a wonderful port. This is the artist's picture. Today you can only see the rough outlines of such a magnificent thing, including the Colosseum behind there. From there he went to Jerusalem to worship at the temple and to meet the early church, and from there he went home to Antioch. Well, I hope this brief introduction has helped pique your interest on exactly how Paul's missionary journey went. We'll dive deep into each of these sites that will help you as you work through your exegesis. Thank you very much.